So this is going to be a review for episode 323 of Naruto Shippuden. Now this episode ends the same way the last episode ended, and that is with Madara using the wood-style jutsu on Naruto as well as everybody else. And as I expected, the Nine-Tails offered to give his chakra to Naruto. And the reason he gave was because as much as he doesn't like putting up with Naruto, he'd rather deal with Naruto than Madara. And Naruto had a kind of positive or surprised kind of look on his face. And one thing I was surprised to see is that he actually ended up taking all of his chakra just to stop that attack and everything. He ended up doing multi-shadow clone jutsu, having a bunch of big giant Rasengans, and it took every last bit just to stop that attack. And as he's worn out and everything, the old man tries to get up and everything, and tries to attack and everything. And he says the reason is because, he finally has a strong enough opponent, and this is a true way to test his strength and everything. And we end up getting a little bit of a flashback of some things, in his past. And right before then, that's when, Gar said, I'll help you redeem yourself. And, then someone on the side was like, hold on, I thought, the elderly didn't like accepting help from the younger folks. And then the old man was like, well, this time I'll make an exception and everything. And we start getting a little bit of a flashback, of how things were with Madara before. And, how, he knew Madara before. And it was right around the time, we got a flashback of right around the time when Madara officially, separated from the first Hokage and everything. And it was kind of a war and everything. And, he starts talking about how Madara is what made him forsaken himself. And that goes back to the speech and everything that Gar made in the past, which I still love that speech just because it still made a very surprised look on all the Kage's face and everything. Especially considering how young he is and everything compared to them and everything. And you start talking about how, he caused, what made him forsaken himself. And ever since then, there has been 3 endless wars caused by nothing but hatred and just an endless cycle of hatred. And they end up doing so much damage and just attacking each other so much. They end up destroying and damaging all the smaller nations, in between them, and just doing it in a way where they seem like they just did not care what happens. And, just how, things have gotten better in general, that the nations have finally come together for an ultimate cause. And he's just very happy to see, things are finally, getting much better than, how things were in the past and everything. And, that's when they start, and this is where, starts going towards, we're going to talk about how, the Kages are going to come together and attack. And, knowing Lady Tsunade, she was being a little bit stubborn. And, she was telling the chick, that did the transportation jutsu, like, hey, transport me there. And then she's like, well, that only works on items. And then she said, I've tried to do it on people before, but it usually ends with people getting their bodies torn up in pieces. And immediately when I heard that, I was like, hold on. This is not the part in the manga, sorry for the spoilers, this is not the part in the manga where, Lady Tsunade gets her body torn into pieces. It's like, hold on, this is not when it happens. And then I started things progressing and I saw how things happen. I was like, okay, it was just some words that happened just sound very similar and just triggered something in my mind. And she said there only was one time when, someone didn't die from it, and that was the older Raikage and everything, and he barely survived it. And, she asked Raikage, can you talk some sense on Lady Tsunade over here? And then he was like, make a transportation for 2. So he ended up going with her, and she ended up getting some sort of a marking on her or an item or something. And the Mizukage, on the other hand, she's in another battlefield and everything, and she ended up getting a message, sent to her and everything of what's going on and everything. And they try to send her there, and this is one of the things I was really surprised to see and did not expect, is the way they end up sending her there was through the same kind of technique as the 4th Hokage, Minato. And it was through the same kind of transportation technique. And we learned that there's 3 people within the Leaf Village that learn the same technique. The main drawback is that it takes all 3 of them just to be able to do it. So they end up transporting her there as soon as the other Kages end up getting there. And they end up getting there right at the last second, right before Madara and the other guy end up going, trying to attack Naruto and them just, up front and, up close and everything. And they show up right at the last second, kick him far away and everything, send him flying. And then that's when they show him up. And, it was really cool to see that. And, what Lady Tsunade ended up doing right away was to treat Gaara and the old man because they were really, really worn out and everything. So she tried to heal him. And, Naruto was like, why are you doing that? Your marking is going to disappear, get old and wrinkly and get weak again, just like before. And then she's like, this time it's different because, unlike, it's going to be different than the pain battle because this time I only healed myself and I have a lot more chakra left over. Naruto's like, hey, if you have that much chakra left over, go ahead and, heal me. And, I don't want to be, just a useless clone. I still have some fighting in me. I don't want to be useless. And then she's like, no. And the reason was because the old man said that this is no longer a fight just to protect you. And then that's when, the Mizukage and the Raikage start going after Madara to protect Lady Tsunade so she can at least heal the other two and everything. And they end up attacking him, and the first thing that happened was, the Mizukage started doing a lava type technique, but it looked like it was seriously just like some slimy looking stuff, and Madara was just running as fast as he could to get away from it. And one thing you gotta know about Madara is that just his movements and everything is just very, he does a great job of just dodging pretty much anything. And, he looked at it and he was like, that stuff isn't even worth absorbing, since he got to the Rinnegan and everything. And anyways, the Raikage start going after him, and he ended up starting, attacking him, and he ended up, bringing out the Susanoo and everything. When he had the Rinnegan in the other eye, I guess he could use it even though he only has one eye. Pretty cool. And he ended up bringing it out, and then the Raikage was like, okay, I'll just use the same technique that I used on Sasuke when he brought it out. And it ended up not quite working as well, and it looked like, the chick started putting the slime or the lava all over him, and it looked like it was on top of the Raikage. But then we saw the Raikage, and with his fast speed, he immediately got out of there, and he was just right there, he retreated, to protect, Lady Tsunade and everything. And, he asked Lady Tsunade, are you done healing them? And she said, just about done. And that's when things started, getting a little bit crazy. And Madara, of course, he just broke loose of that thing and everything. And they were strong enough to, the old man and Gar were finally strong enough to be able to actually do something. And right as Madara was about to attack him and everything, right at the last second, they do something to defend everyone. And they end up actually doing this, and I really like this, was when the old man started doing a mud style or a stone style jutsu that give him just a big line of protection and everything. And Gaara put some sand over it too, so it ended up being 2 lines of defense, which was really, really great to see. So they ended up working together and helping protect everybody, and it was really cool to see that. And as things started going, that's when the guys started all coming together to finally try to attack Madara. And Gaara ended up using the pyramid-like attack, which I was actually surprised just because the simple fact that when he tried to do it before, it barely, it was really hard for him just to be able to try to make it work before, and it was on a much weaker opponent or, person he was fighting. But, he attempted to use it on Madara, it didn't work and everything. And one thing that was really cool is, the Raikage was like, hey, I still can't quite catch up, to Madara. And this is one of those things I noted in the past, was the technique that the old man can use to lighten things. Even though it may seem like a simple thing, it can be useful in so many different ways. It's like a unique, just a very creative jutsu and everything. So what he tries to do, he uses it on the Raikage so then it can make him so much faster. And one thing I probably forgot to mention is that earlier in this episode, one thing I was really happy to see is that there was a bunch of weaker shinobi along the side, and they actually came in and decided to actually be useful by attacking the other guy, not Madara, but the other guy, to make themselves useful because that guy's a lot weaker, and within, strength-wise, a lot closer to what they are and everything. So I was very happy to see that, just seeing that they could actually be useful and everything. And, right now it looks like, the old man is trying to make, the Raikage a lot faster, so then he could just go at a lightning speed and be even faster, which is just ridiculous. He was already fast before, which brings me to think, I wonder how fast he can make Naruto, I maybe we'll see that in the future. I really can't wait. But he ends up doing that, and Kabuto remembers, hold on, when he does that, it makes him, even though it makes him lighter and a lot faster, it makes him weaker. And, and he ended up actually going after, not Madara right away, but the Raikage went after the other guy, and he ended up just sending him miles away. And it's like, yeah, even though it makes him lighter and weaker, the Raikage, still packs a freaking punch. He really does, because he's really strong. And he sends him flying and everything. And the old man and Raikage start going after Madara, and they end up using this unique jutsu. I don't know what it was, but it looked like a beam or like his fist technique kind of, and it just sending through him just like a beam or something, and it went through it, destroyed this Susanoo, and just destroyed and broke it up in pieces and everything, and went through Madara. And I was very happy to see that. That was very cool to see something that could actually get through him and everything, and just seeing that and everything. And the main reason I liked it was just be seeing that they actually used their techniques together in a very unique way, just like, the old man and Gaara did. So that was very, very cool. And at some point in the episode, the old man started going on a speech and everything, and started talking about how ever since this war started, at the very beginning, the only reason he was there was because he had to, or at least he felt like he had to be there, and just, he really didn't care so much. And how over time, he started, feeling differently and looking at things differently, and he sees a much greater possibility of peace and everything, and he's really happy with, how everybody is doing and how everyone has came together, and how this is a much bigger step in the right direction of peace out of all the things they tried to attempt to in the before. And he started talking about how the other Kages, all the Kages and all the nations have done bad things in the past, and they've all have ultimately done damage. What they thought was, best for the nation or best for the shinobi world ended up doing nothing but causing chaos and damage to someone in some way. And he started talking about how, this is, going to be their fighting chance, and this is their ultimate chance to set things right. And this is why they are, they want to be the ones to fight Madara instead of it being Naruto and everything. And this is their ultimate ways to just try to make up for everything that they've done. And they finally actually know that this is actually what needs to be done. And all the Kages end up talking to Naruto, since he was about to disappear and everything, and sending a message to him. And it was kind of weird because I saw, their mouths moving, and I didn't hear any words coming out, and I was like, what? And then, then we actually, heard something, and it was like, we will win. And as Naruto disappeared, that's when he went back to the original Naruto with Killer Bee and everything, and he got the message and everything, and that's, when he said, we'll win. And it looks like, this is one thing I liked about the ending, is that, Killer Bee and Naruto were finally catching up to Obito, or Toby as people still may know him, and everything. And they finally, just clashed together, and Naruto just hit his head against, Obito and everything. And that was a great way to end. And, just seeing that was really great to see. And seeing all the teamwork in this episode was really great to see, and all, the jutsus and everything they used together. And one thing, there was a few things I was still surprised to see. The part with, that, there's people in the Leaf Village that actually got to learn the jutsu from the fourth Hokage, Minato, how to, transport and everything. And just, seeing, something like that happen, which I didn't think it was quite necessary, but it was still quite a surprise. And just all the teamwork and everything, Gaara and the old man creating that ultimate line of defense, the old man and the Razekage and everything, or the Raikage, using their attacks and everything to ultimately attack Madara and potentially take out the guy that summoned him and everything. And, seeing as they've learned a lot throughout this war, and they realize a lot of things. And this is going to be the ultimate chance to really, try to make up for a lot of things. And just seeing all the Kages actually finally coming together. There was a certain part where it just showed all of them together. That was a really cool moment and everything. And I'm going to give this episode a 4.8 out of 5, okay? 4.8. There was a lot of stuff that happened. The pacing wasn't really bad, and the animation was acceptable. And the, just seeing how things ended and the timing, there were some character development moments, and just seeing that those weak guys on the side, they went ahead and tried to go attack the other guy and make themselves useful, which is really great to see, and everything, and the teamwork, and just a lot of great stuff happened in this episode, and seeing things just getting warmed up, and seeing a positive side, especially after seeing the last episode. I honestly think that the episode 322 and this one are going to be some very, very memorable episodes, throughout, this season at least, and everything. So it was a great episode overall. A lot of stuff happened, and there was a lot of great qualities and things of this episode. There really was. And I really can't wait to see the next episode. It's not more like an impatient grudge, like, oh, I really don't want to wait till the next episode. It's more like, I'm excited. And it's actually, left me with a positive feeling at the end of this episode. So it was really great to see that. And I really like it when episodes end in a good way like that, instead of just, on a cliffhanger too much. And, we get that sometimes. But, ended in a really great way. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks again, guys, for watching. And hopefully I'll get, caught up again on Attack on Titan pretty soon and everything. But thank you, guys, for just being so awesome and so patient. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. And I will see you guys in the next video.